A famous Latin quote says, "A wise man learns from the mistakes of others, a fool by his own." No wonder King Solomon became so successful because he learned from his father's mistakes. He would later say in the book of Proverbs, "Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold." King Solomon, one of history's most iconic and prosperous rulers, is renowned for his wisdom, wealth, and the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. In this video, we will look into Solomon's life for some lessons and mistakes we must avoid. But before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a video from us. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba. Bathsheba had previously been married to Uriah the Hittite, whom David had arranged to be killed in battle after impregnating her. This troubled beginning was in contrast to the divine favor Solomon would later enjoy. Solomon was also called Jedediah, meaning beloved of the Lord, by the prophet Nathan, signifying his special place in God's plan. As odd as it sounds, David's promise to Bathsheba that Solomon would succeed him was not straightforward. As David aged and his health declined, his son Adonijah declared himself king, gathering support from key figures such as Job, the commander of the army, and Abiathar, the priest. However, Bathsheba and Nathan, the prophet, reminded David of his promise. David then commanded that Solomon be anointed king, leading to a dramatic and politically charged succession. This teaches us that when we truly need something to be done, we shouldn't sit idle or wait for it to come in a platter of gold, even though it has been promised. Even the book of Matthew says God knows our needs, but he wants us to ask first, and he will do. After David restated his promise to make King Solomon king after him, plans began in earnest for the young man's coronation. Bible scholars say Solomon was about 8 years of age when he was crowned. Prophet Nathan and Zadok, the priest, anointed Solomon at Gihon, riding on David's mule, symbolizing his legitimate succession. This action swiftly consolidated his claim to the throne, forcing Adonijah to seek mercy. Solomon showed initial clemency after assuming the throne. Still, he later had to deal with further plots from Adonijah, who soon became a threat to the kingship, ultimately leading to his execution. Solomon had a major encounter with God in a dream early in his kingship, shortly after he ascended to the throne of Israel. This significant event, detailed in 1 Kings chapter 3 verses 5 to 15, highlighted Solomon's earnest desire for wisdom to govern justly and wisely. In the dream, God appeared to Solomon and offered him anything he desired. Solomon humbly requested wisdom, admitting the immense responsibility of leading God's chosen people. God was pleased with Solomon's request and granted him exceptional wisdom that surpassed all others before him. This divine wisdom enabled Solomon to rule with fairness, insight, and integrity. His judgments, such as the famous case of the two women disputing the same child, exemplified his profound understanding of human nature and earned him widespread admiration throughout Israel and beyond. Beyond wisdom, God also promised Solomon wealth and honor, ensuring his reign would be marked not only by spiritual guidance, but also by material prosperity. This divine endorsement at the beginning of his reign solidified Solomon's legitimacy as king and spiritual leader. It set a precedent for seeking God's guidance in governance and leadership, emphasizing the importance of spiritual wisdom in establishing a stable and prosperous kingdom. Solomon's encounter with God in the dream served as a foundational moment in his kingship, shaping Israel's golden era and leaving a lasting legacy of wise and righteous leadership in both biblical and historical accounts. Solomon's reign, lasting about 40 years, was characterized by administrative reorganization. He divided Israel into 12 districts, each responsible for providing supplies for the king and his household for 1 month of the year. This system helped streamline governance and ensured a steady flow of resources. Solomon's court was extensive and required significant resources, reflecting the king's wealth and the king's status. Solomon's era was one of unprecedented wealth and prosperity for Israel. He formed key trade alliances, notably with King Hiram of Tyre, which enabled extensive trading networks. These included the export of goods such as timber, gold, and precious stones, as well as the import of luxury items from places such as India and Africa. The Bible describes silver as being so abundant during Solomon's reign that it was considered of little value. Solomon also secured his kingdom through strategic marriages. He married the daughter of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, establishing a powerful alliance. This marriage was just one of many. Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines, many from surrounding nations, to secure peace and political ties. This is a very crucial part of Solomon's reign, one which caused him more than he would have bargained for. We will delve into that shortly. The construction of the first temple was Solomon's most renowned achievement. David had gathered materials for the temple, but it was Solomon who realized the vision. God has severally said David would not build a house for him because David was a man of war who had shed much blood. Hence, this huge responsibility would rest on his successor, in other words, on Solomon. No wonder Solomon had the most peaceful, non-violent reign in the history of Israel. The temple took 7 years to build, employing thousands of laborers, craftsmen, and overseers. The structure was lavishly adorned with gold, silver, and precious stones, symbolizing Israel's devotion to God. Solomon's building projects extended beyond the temple. He constructed his own palace, which took 13 years to complete, and various military fortresses and cities like Megiddo, Hazor, and Giza. These constructions were symbols of his wealth and power, and his strategy for maintaining control over his kingdom. Solomon is traditionally credited with authoring several books of the Bible. The Book of Proverbs contains wise sayings and teachings attributed to him. Ecclesiastes explores the meaning of life and the human condition, often with a somber tone. The Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs, is a poetic dialogue celebrating love and beauty, reflecting his romantic and artistic sensibilities. Solomon's wisdom and wealth drew visitors from far and wide, including the Queen of Sheba. She came to test Solomon with hard questions, bringing a vast retinue and rich gifts. Impressed by his wisdom and the prosperity of his kingdom, she praised Solomon and the God of Israel, cementing Solomon's reputation internationally. Solomon's extensive harem of 700 wives and 300 concubines came from various nations. These marriages were often politically motivated to secure alliances and peace treaties. The origins and implications of these marriages were significant in political and religious terms. One of Solomon's most prominent wives was the daughter of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. This marriage was a significant political alliance, symbolizing a bond between two powerful nations. Pharaoh's daughter was not brought to the city of David until Solomon completed his palace and the temple. This union is believed to have influenced Solomon to build a special palace for her, separate from his other residences. Solomon's harem included women from Moab, Ammon, Edom, Sidon, and Hittite regions. Each of these marriages represented a strategic alliance. However, these unions also brought foreign religious practices into Israel. The Moabites and the Ammonites worshipped Chemosh and Molech, respectively, gods known for their demanding and sometimes cruel rituals. Besides the regions as mentioned earlier, Solomon's wives also came from other Canaanite tribes and neighboring regions. These women bore him countless sons and daughters. Yes, Solomon had many children, though the Bible does not provide detailed accounts of all of them. But Solomon's most well-known son and successor was Rehoboam. He is believed to be his first child, probably from Solomon's union with the daughter of the Pharaoh, who is also reported to be his first wife. Solomon had several daughters, but the notable ones were Taphath and Bazimath, who were married to his officials. Taphath was married to Ben-Abinadab, who was in charge of the district of Naphath Dor. Bazimath was married to Ahimaaz, who managed the district of Naphtali. These marriages further strengthened Solomon's administrative control and ensured loyalty among his officials. But despite his wisdom, Solomon faced significant domestic challenges. His extensive building projects required a vast labor force, leading to the use of conscripted labor from both Israelites and non-Israelites. This burden, combined with heavy taxation, caused widespread dissatisfaction and unrest among the people. Towards the end of his reign, King Solomon faced significant opposition from both within his kingdom and external adversaries. These challenges not only tested his leadership, but also laid the groundwork for the eventual division of Israel after his death. Also, Solomon's many marriages to foreign women introduced the worship of other gods into Israel and influenced him to turn his heart from Yahweh, the God of his fathers. Solomon's turn away from exclusive worship of Yahweh towards idolatry, influenced by his foreign wives, angered God. Despite Solomon's wisdom and achievements, his spiritual decline had profound consequences. God decreed that the kingdom would be torn from Solomon's line, though not during his lifetime, out of respect for David. Instead, this division would occur during the reign of Solomon's son. Jeroboam was another threat to his kingship. Jeroboam was an industrious young man from the tribe of Ephraim. Solomon recognized his capabilities and appointed him as an overseer for the labor force from the house of Joseph, which included the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. One day, as Jeroboam was leaving Jerusalem, he encountered the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite. Ahijah took hold of a new cloak he was wearing and tore it into 12 pieces. He then told Jeroboam to take 10 pieces, symbolizing that God would give him 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel. This act symbolized God's judgment against Solomon for his apostasy and the impending division of the kingdom. Hearing of the prophecy and Jeroboam's potential threat, Solomon sought to kill him. Jeroboam fled to Egypt, where he found refuge with Pharaoh Shishak. Jeroboam remained in Egypt until Solomon's death, biding his time and preparing for his eventual return. The adversaries and internal strife Solomon faced not only weakened his rule, but also set the stage for the eventual division of the kingdom. After Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam's harsh policies and inability to unite the people led to a rebellion. The northern tribes, led by Jeroboam, succeeded and formed the separate kingdom of Israel, while Rehoboam retained control over Judah and Benjamin, forming the southern kingdom of Judah. The rise of adversaries like Hadad and Rezon and Jeroboam's rebellion were seen as fulfillments of divine prophecy and judgments against Solomon's reign. These events teach us that faithfulness to God is paramount, and that deviation from his commandments brings severe consequences. Despite his flaws, Solomon's reign left a noticeable mark on Israel's history. The First Temple became the central place of worship for the Jewish people, symbolizing their covenant with God. His contributions to biblical literature continue to influence Jewish, Christian, and even secular thought. Archaeological discoveries, such as the remains of structures believed to be built by Solomon and inscriptions referencing his reign, support biblical accounts and highlight his impact on the ancient Near East. Solomon's story is that of wisdom, wealth, and human frailty. His reign exemplifies both the heights of human achievement and the depths of spiritual decline. From his wise judgments and grand constructions to his failure to remain faithful to God, Solomon's life offers enduring lessons on leadership, faith, and the consequences of turning away from one's principles. What do you make of this video and the mistakes of Solomon? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already.